Hey everyone, we're about to dive into one of the trickiest, most powerful emotions we all deal with, especially in our relationships, anger. But we're going to look at it in a totally new way, not as something to destroy, but as something that can actually bring us closer.
So let me just start with this one big question. What if everything you thought about anger was wrong? What if it wasn't the bad guy, the enemy we have to fight or suppress, but actually something else entirely? Just sit with that for a second.
All right, so the first big idea here is that we need to completely reframe how we see anger. It's not the problem itself. Think of it more like an alarm system, a signal that's desperately trying to tell you something important.
I love this analogy. It's like the check engine light on your car's dashboard. You wouldn't see that light pop on and then get a hammer and smash it, right? No, you'd know it's a signal to look under the hood. Anger is exactly the same. It's just the messenger, telling you to check for the real issue. Is it an unmet need? A boundary that got crossed? That's where the real work is.
And this is so often what's hiding under the hood. Anger is what we call a secondary emotion. It's the tip of the iceberg, the part you see. It feels big and powerful, protective even. But underneath the surface, that's where the more vulnerable primary emotions are hiding. Things like hurt, fear, maybe even shame or feeling inadequate. So often, anger is just a shield we use to protect those softer, scarier feelings.
But let's be real, just because anger is a signal doesn't mean it's harmless. When we don't manage it, when we just let it explode, it acts like the slow-acting poison. It just methodically eats away at the foundation of our relationships.
First and foremost, it destroys trust. If your partner never knows when the next outburst is coming, how can they feel emotionally safe with you? That secure home base you're supposed to have starts to feel more like a minefield.
And then, of course, your communication it totally breaks down. Conversations stop being about understanding each other. Instead, they become about winning the argument, proving you're right, or just defending yourself from attack.
And eventually, all of this creates a hostile environment at home. You know that feeling of walking on eggshells? That's what this is. The place that's supposed to be your sanctuary becomes a source of constant tension.
So, okay, that sounds pretty bleak, but the good news is we can fix it. It all starts with learning to use a new set of tools, a toolkit that helps us shift away from blaming each other and move toward actually understanding each other.
And honestly, this is the single most powerful tool in the whole box. Think about it. The second you start a sentence with you, like you never listen, your partner's defenses go right up. It's an attack. But when you start with I, as in I feel unheard, it's completely different. You're not attacking them, you're just explaining your own experience. And that invites them to connect, not to fight back.
Let's look at a few examples here because it makes it so clear. On the left, you see the blame. You're so inconsiderate. You never help. It's all about attacking. But look at the right column. It's about vulnerability. I felt really worried. I'm feeling really overwhelmed. I feel unheard. See the difference? You're sharing the feeling behind the anger. It turns an accusation into a bid for connection.
Okay, that's all great for when you're calm. But what about when you're already in the middle of it? When emotions are high and things are escalating? For that, you need an in-the-moment emergency toolkit to help you ride out the storm without crashing the ship.
Now, here's something you absolutely have to understand. This is biology, not just bad behavior. When we get super angry or overwhelmed, our brain's emotional center, the amygdala, literally takes over. It's called an amygdala hijack. And when that happens, the rational, empathetic part of your brain goes offline. It just checks out. Pushing through an argument in that state isn't just pointless, it's actively making things worse.
And that is why a strategic timeout is an absolute game changer. It's not about running away from the problem, it's about giving your brain a chance to reset. For it to work, you got to follow the steps. First, agree on this plan when you're both calm. Second, pick a neutral signal, like just saying pause. Third, and this is the most important part, you must agree on a time to come back to the conversation. Otherwise, it just feels like you're abandoning them. And finally, use that time to actually calm down, not to sit there building an even better argument for when you get back.
So once you've calmed down and you're ready to talk again, there is one skill that can completely change the game. I honestly think of it as a relational superpower. It's called validation.
So what is validation? It's really simple. It's just the act of showing your partner that you get it. You understand their emotional experience from their point of view. It's the exact opposite of saying things like, you're overreacting, or that's not a big deal. It sends the message, I hear you, and your feelings make sense to me.
Now listen closely, because if you only remember one thing, make it this. Validation does not mean you agree with them. This is the part that changes everything. You can 100% disagree with the facts of what they're saying, but still validate the feeling. You can say, wow, I can see why that would make you feel so angry, without saying, you're right, I was wrong. You're connecting with their emotion, not giving up your perspective.
And here are some super simple phrases you can start using tonight. Just reflect what you see. Wow, I can see you're really angry right now. Or acknowledge their reality. I get it. I can see how you would feel that way. It sounds so simple, but I'm telling you, these little phrases are magic. They can lower the temperature in a heated argument almost instantly.
So when you start to put all these pieces together, seeing anger as a signal, using I statements, taking those strategic timeouts, and then coming back with validation, you're not just getting better at arguing, you're changing the entire dance of your relationship. And this right here shows you the two paths you can take. That vicious cycle on the left, I think we all know what that feels like. Anger leads to defensiveness, which just makes the other person angrier, and you both end up feeling more and more distant. But look at the right side. That's the goal, the virtuous circle. It starts when one person is brave enough to be vulnerable, and the other person meets them with validation. That creates connection, which builds safety, which makes it easier to be vulnerable next time. It completely flips the script.
So let's end with this question for you to take with you. The next time you feel that flash of anger, before you react, just pause. Get curious. Ask yourself, what is this anger trying to tell me right now? What vulnerable part of me is it trying to protect? What's the real message underneath? Because learning to listen to that message, that's the real secret to turning battlegrounds back into connections. Thanks so much for joining me.